discretion is advised. This is 10-Minute Murder.
Close your eyes and imagine it's the 1980s. A time of big hair, lots of hairspray, neon lights, and the lure of the open road. The American highways stretch out before you like a ribbon of freedom, beckoning you to embark on an adventure. But not all journeys lead to happily ever afters. Some take you straight into the clutches of evil, and that's where our story begins, with a seemingly ordinary trucker named Robert Ben Rhoades. On April 1st, 1990, an Arizona state trooper stumbled upon a scene straight out of a horror movie. A tractor trailer parked on the highway's shoulder revealed a chained and terrified young woman inside. The driver of that tractor trailer was Robert Ben Rhoades. He tried to downplay the situation, but the trooper's instincts prevailed. Rhoades was swiftly arrested, and a subsequent search uncovered a disturbing possession, a .25 caliber pistol. The routine traffic stop would soon expose Rhoades as one of America's most notorious serial killers and sex offenders. Inside his rig, Rhoades transformed the very essence of freedom into a rolling chamber of horrors. Hooks, chains, restraints, and a soundproof box hidden away in the sleeper cab. This monster had turned his truck into a mobile torture chamber, a hellish place where his victims would suffer unimaginable torment. Rhoades possessed this sickening ability to blend in, adapting his appearance, changing his name, and even altering his accent. This diabolical charade allowed him to remain hidden, preying on innocent souls without arousing suspicion. His crimes went unnoticed, and a web of terror spun across the vast expanse of the American highways. Robert Ben Rhoades, born in Council Bluffs, Iowa in 1945, had a relatively normal childhood, despite his parents' strained relationship. Raised by his mother, he received loving care and a stable upbringing. This sets him apart from other serial killers who often experience troubled childhoods. During his high school years, Robert Rhoades participated in a range of extracurricular activities like football, wrestling, choir, and the French club, making him a well-rounded teenager. However, his life took a devastating turn after graduating from Thomas Jefferson High School in Council Bluffs in 1964 and joining the U.S. Marine Corps. On what should have been a proud day for Robert, his moment was shattered when he was arrested for assaulting a 12-year-old girl on that very same day. The weight of the situation proved unbearable for his father, leading him to take his own life before Robert's trial. This event deeply affected Robert's mental well-being, leaving a lasting impact on his life. After being involved in an alleged theft, Robert Rhoades was dishonorably discharged from the military around 1967 or 68. Determined to find a new way to make a living, he struggled through various jobs until eventually becoming a trucker. During the 1970s and 1980s, Rhoades went through 3 marriages and had a child with his first wife. It was during this time that he developed an obsession with BDSM, influenced by a TV series that promoted the use of torture for a heightened sexual pleasure. He attempted to engage in BDSM with his wife, but she refused. He resorted to forceful measures. He subjected her to severe torture and sexual abuse, which led to her decision to leave him. Rhoades was a sexual sadist. He kidnapped women, tortured and raped them for weeks before killing him. What is known about him in the 1980s is murky. That's a quote from Vanessa Veselka, who miraculously escaped his death grip, explained in a blog post years later. In the summer of 1985, somewhere near Martinsburg, Pennsylvania, the body of a young woman was pulled from a truck stop dumpster. Vanessa just hitched a ride and was sitting in a nearby truck waiting for the driver to pay for gas so that they could leave, when a man from the restaurant ran out and started yelling to everyone to stay away. A small crowd gathered around the dumpster in the rain. Word filtered back that the dead girl was a teenage hitchhiker. Out of fear, Vanessa started to have doubts about her driver, thinking, what if it's him? But it was all in her head. The ride turned out to be fine. Several days later, though, heading south on I-95 through the Carolinas, Vanessa got picked up by another trucker. He must have seemed okay or she wouldn't have gotten in the truck with him, she said. Out on the road, though, he changed. He stopped responding to her questions. His bearing shifted. He grew taller in his seat, and his facial muscles relaxed into something both arrogant and blank at the same time. Then he started talking about the dead girl in the dumpster and asked her if she'd ever heard of the Laughing Death Society. We laugh at death, he told her. Moments later, Rhoades pulled the truck over near some woods, brandishing a hunting knife. In a desperate plea, Vanessa repeated that he had a choice and he didn't have to do this. Miraculously, as though spellbound, Rhoades uttered one single word: run. Without looking back, Vanessa fled into the woods and hid. When she saw the truck leave, she emerged, hitchhiked south, and kept the incident a secret for years. A couple of others after her, however, were not so lucky. After he was arrested in Arizona in April of that year, 1990, he confessed to the murders of newlyweds Patricia Walsh and Douglas Zukowski. The couple had left Seattle in November of 1989 and were hitchhiking to Georgia, preaching the Christian gospel. The truck stop killer picked them up in Texas and killed Zawalski immediately. However, he held Walsh prisoner for more than a week, during which time he tortured and raped her repeatedly before shooting her to death. After torturing her with fish hooks and other assorted instruments, Rhoades took one final set of photos of Walsh just before killing her with a baling wire garrote. Afterward, he threw her body in a barn off of Interstate 70 in Illinois, where it was found in September. By then, the truck stop killer had been in custody for about 5 months, but the book on his reign of terror was hardly closed. Again, in 2015, law enforcement agencies shared a photo taken by Robert Rhoades inside his truck in 1985, seeking to identify the young woman in the picture. Pamela Milliken from Saskatchewan recognized herself in the photo and came forward. Milliken revealed that she had been hitchhiking to find her brother in Winnipeg when she ended up in Rhoades' truck. Rhoades explained that he took the photos of his passengers as a precaution against potential robbers. Milliken recalled a sign in the truck that read, "Cash, grass, or ass. No one rides for free." And realizing that she had no money, she knew what was expected. They had a consensual sexual encounter, and Rhoades dropped her off at a bus depot in Winnipeg. Of course, many were not as lucky as Milliken or Vanessa, and while the truck stop killer will never see the light of day, we may never know how many lives he took. Now, I know what you're probably wondering. How did someone this sadistic manage to evade capture for so long? This same question haunted law enforcement. Rhoades left behind a trail of shattered lives and broken dreams, but the puzzle pieces seemed scattered, lost in the abyss, until one brave survivor who had miraculously escaped his clutches found the strength to speak up. Her courage unlocked the door to the truth, bringing Rhoades' reign of terror crashing down. Robert Ben Rhoades, the truck stop killer, was convicted for the Walters murder in 1994 and sentenced to life behind bars in Illinois, where he remains today. That is 10-Minute Murder for today. Brief and bingeable true crime. I'm Joe, the host, and I really appreciate you listening to this episode. Today, I'm going to answer one quick question that was emailed to me because I want to save some time to mention something new. But first, to the email. Joe, I'm curious. What is one thing you think is funny, but is probably only funny to you? Julie in Baltimore. First of all, thanks, Julie, for the email, and I appreciate you listening. But I recently learned that some of y'all abbreviate your city Be More, and I think that's adorable. And that sounds like I'm making a joke, but I seriously love that. Okay, the question was so specific that it really made me think, and it took me a little time. And the thing I think is funny that probably no one else does, photos of pregnant women. For reasons unknown to me, they like to hold their baby bumps, almost cradle it. And when I see that, I kind of chuckle to myself, like, here they go again. Why are they doing that? Now, for the record, if it pleases the court, I don't have a problem with it. I just think it's kind of funny. All right, if this is your first time listening to 10 Minute Murder, please subscribe now so that you can catch up on all the back episodes and never miss any of the new ones. Connect with me on social media, see the visuals of what we talk about here in the podcast. It's nothing gross and it's nothing graphic, but you will see the places and the faces of everything that's involved in the actual podcast. Now, this is where I wanted to talk about something new. There apparently is this new app, this new social media platform. It's called Threads. And I heard about it literally today, the day that I'm recording this episode. I think it came out today, actually. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I've just been oblivious to it before, but Threads is new. In the little bit that I've dabbled around on it, I've found that it seems to be a lot like Twitter, but better. So I've got an account there. And I would encourage you to go sign up for Threads. They don't sponsor this, by the way. Obviously, they don't sponsor this. But it seems like it's going to be a pretty cool thing. And I think that there are going to be a lot of people that flock to it from Twitter, away from Twitter to Threads. So get in while the getting's good. My dad used to say that. I don't know exactly what it means, but I think it applies here. In the show notes of this episode, you'll find a link to where you can follow me on Threads. I've also put one on Facebook and Instagram, maybe? I can't remember if I put one on Instagram. I just did it a few minutes ago, so you'd think I'd remember, but I didn't. But I'm sure if you type 10 Minute Murder into Threads, it'll pop up. You'll see it there. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to the episode today, and I hope you have a great night, a great morning, wonderful afternoon, whatever it is that you're doing. Or if you're binging on to the next episode, I'll talk to you soon.